You can ask me anything. Hey Rob, instead of like any specific topic, just any question you have, just put it in the question sticker there, and then I'll answer. Hey David, hi Camix, safer, smarter choices. Hello, hi Kajal. All right, let's see. And if you have if you you can also vote up questions as well. Okay, let's get started. First question is from Sure. Should we speak about everything when it comes to personal branding, like Tony Robbins, etc. niche? Yes. I believe if you're building a personal brand, so the reason why I'm so um, invested into personal branding. Hey Ellie, hello everyone. If you're just joining in, well, we're gonna do questions about any topic you want. So just if you have any questions for me, hey Rosalinda, just put it in here. So hi Sharon. So right now, um, I think so. What happened was when I started working with some personal brands, I started realizing that like a lot of the personal brand, a lot of people that come to us was like these ex CEOs or like billionaires that are like trying to write a book or build their personal brand or something like that, right? So I thought that was kind of interesting. I was like, oh, what? Like, why are these successful, super successful entrepreneurs that's already built like multi-million-dollar businesses trying to like build a personal brand? And and then you see it, right? You see like Ray Dalio, you see Kevin O'Leary, and you see all of these people doing it, and it's because people are starting to realize that that personal brand is actually more valuable than business brands. Like when Kylie Jenner like started her lipstick line, and she just overnight became a billionaire. Things like that, right? So, and the reason why is because people trust people. So, for example, if I say, you know, like if I say, "Oh, buy a car," because this brand is good or whatever it is, but if you look at a lot of people that buy Tesla, they're buying Tesla because they're basically, they're putting their trust on Elon Musk or something like that, right? So that's why I think personal branding is ultimately going to be like the future of all branding. And that's the thing, right? That's the thing about personal brands is that it's not you're not there's not just one thing that makes you you. It's your entire personality, everything that you're interested. So what I would say is just talk about everything that you're interested in, kind of like what I do, and then I think you'll figure out of everything that you talk about, what is the thing that people are interested in hearing about. Do you know what I mean? All right, y'all. I'm gonna try to catch up with the. I'm gonna try to catch the chat, but it's gonna be hard for me because I'm really bad at multitasking. So if you have a question for me, I'll put it in the sticker. Okay. Next question is from Akash. What's been one of your greatest challenges? How did you overcome it? That's a great question. Okay, so you know, I think like when you're an entrepreneur, like cha- I don't think challenges are like like I don't think businesses are like, oh, you have this one great moment and then you have this huge challenge, and then like that's not how business works, right? Like you're faced with challenges almost on a daily basis. um I'll answer your question in a little bit, Rakib. So you're faced with challenges all the time, and all of my challenges, if I look at it, all have to do with like my ego. And it's going to be the same for you guys. Like almost all of the challenges that you face in life or business or anything like that is going to have to do with ego. So like whether you get into a conflict with somebody, or whether you got into whether you lose a business or whatever that happens, it's your ego that's getting hurt, or it's your ego that's causing that to happen, or something like that. So I guess yeah, most of it has to do with ego, right? Like, for example, like if it's hard for me to like fire somebody, that's also because my ego, right? Because I don't want this person to hate me or something like that. Or, you know, if I have to talk to the client and I have to confront the client about something, like anytime there's some sort of a confrontation or something like that. So yeah. Oh shit, what happened? Okay, I think we're back. Okay, next question. I want to answer this question from YouTube real quick. Rakib, you spoke to me about solving problems might be my passion. As an engineering student, that particular mindset has changed a whole lot of me wanting to put my energy into engineering. So where do I go from here? I know my passion already and I feel good knowing it already. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I don't overthink it, right? I think a lot of people like the problem is like a lot of people try to put like passion. They try to fit passion into something we do, right? So like our job or our title or something like that, right? I'm an engineer, or I'm a designer, or I'm a chef, or I'm a coach, whatever. I'm a yoga teacher, whatever that thing is. We try to put a lot of energy into like, oh, that's my passion. But don't worry so much on what you want to be or what your identity is, right? Or I'm passionate about being this thing. Think more about the individual tasks that you're passionate about, right? The thing that you're doing every day, right? So, for example, like instead of thinking about like, oh, I'm passionate about being a chef, like, you should be passionate about cooking. So, and you can cook every day, right? You can cook whether for yourself or for other people. You can cook every day. So something like that. So, because if we just keep focusing on who we want to be, at some point we're gonna get bored of that, or we're gonna realize that we're not as passionate about that thing. Okay. Next question. Elgay Fry. Personal branding or own business, like create a company. I think even if you're going to create a company like a product business, I think you should still build a personal brand. And the reason why is because, like, for example, like Elon Musk has built a personal brand, so he can start any business. And it's far easier for him to start a business, right? Or like same thing with Richard Branson, right? Because Richard Branson has a personal brand, it's far easier for him to start a new business. And all, I mean, the perfect example is like I said before, right? If you look at I guess Kylie Jenner's like cosmetic line, like she just created a cosmetic line and overnight it became a success because she already has a brand. People trust her. Same thing with Jessica Alba and the Honest Company, or yeah, I mean it's everywhere, right? So I think that's why the best thing to like, and I think the reason why that's happening is because like now that one person, like, just until now, right? Until recently, there's never been a time when one person can influence this many people, right? Because we've always lived in a time where one person, maybe in the old days, they only influence like 100 people in their town, right? And then maybe like in a city, like 1,000 people, 10,000, whatever it is. Like, and what happens is in the past, it's always been that like you have to build your reputation among these people, and it takes time. But recently, what happened was like with media, TV, and things like that, people can fake these. People can fake that thing, and it wasn't really working out. That's why they needed brands and things like that, right? But I feel like now it's gotten to a point with the social media and things like that. One individual can have that kind of influence. So now that that's happening, I feel like everybody's realizing that personal branding is the the future. So that's why right now, think about it, right? Like if let's say if Walmart fucked up, right? Or Disney fucks up or something like that, like there's nobody to really blame. Like it doesn't feel as a consumer, you don't feel satisfied blaming Walmart or some some corporate board of director. Hey, see, you know what we want to do is we want to blame a person, right? That's why with Amazon, if Amazon fucks up, we can blame Jeff Bezos, we can blame like having that one person that we trust or we can blame is, I think, way more attractive to the consumer than hiding behind the logo, and that's why personal brand is always going to win. You know. So even if you're building a company brand, still build a personal brand, so that because once you build a personal brand, you can start new brand, and you can keep building new brands on utilizing your personal brand. It's like just remember that, right? Once you build a personal brand, it's kind of like everything that you do for your personal brand is like education. It's like everything that you learn. Like you can never take that away. You know, all the money that you make, all of these things that you obtain, at some point somebody can take that away from you, right? But all of the knowledge, everything that you learn, right? And everything that you invest into your brand so that you grow awareness for your brand, all of that is like intellectual property that stays with you forever. Nobody can ever steal that, take that away from you. So, it's always like a great investment when you invest into your own brand or also okay, I have a question here from YouTube from Zhao Victor. Have you ever dealt with imposter syndrome? If yes, how did you overcome it? So yeah, I mean, I deal with imposter syndrome every week, and I think that's something that's normal that you're supposed to go through if you're making improvements, right? If you're trying to do something good, right? When you talk to like somebody that's at the top of whenever you talk to somebody that's like at the top of their game, right? Like the best designers, the best actors, the best musicians, like somebody that's like at the top of their game, if you talk to them, one thing you'll realize is that they think that they're the biggest imposters. They have like the biggest imposter syndrome. They think that they're never good enough. Do you understand what I mean? There's a reason why those people are up there. It's because they think that whatever that they're doing, they never think that it's good enough. So therefore, they're constantly trying to improve. And then once they get there, they're like, oh, it's not good enough. So they're trying to improve. So, the fact that you're gonna have imposter syndrome is normal. So I have imposter syndrome once a week at least, right? So I go through this phases where, I crawl up. Oh fuck, the internet's something's okay. I'm back. Okay, so I go through these phases where like every week, right? Like I'll crawl up. I'm like, oh, this is pointless. Like what the fuck? I'm not saying anything new. Like this is not working, or this isn't really work. Like whatever that is, right? The way I overcome it is through. I think the way you overcome anything like that, right? Overthinking, worried about, like FOMO, overthinking, like imposter syndrome. Whenever that anxiety hits you, like for me, the only way to solve it is through action. Like I just have to put my head down and start working on whether like even like something manual labor, right? Even if it's like just me designing something stupid or me just writing an email or something, some kind of like basic task, whatever, making piece of content or editing video, whatever it is gonna like further me incrementally, tiny little bit to the next step. Once I start once I start working, all of that disappears, right? Once you focus on, like, I think a lot of the times, like, I'll say two things, right? One, this is like something a lot of new entrepreneurs don't understand. One, the biggest mistake entrepreneurs make is doing too much. Like like changing things too much, right? The real success comes from like just doing the boring everyday shit every day. And that's what most entrepreneurs cannot do. Yeah. So, okay, next question. Ravina. Okay. I don't know how to say that. Okay. Have you worked with any Indian creator, writer, designer? How was your experience like? How different or similar with other native creators? Yeah, I mean, I've worked with the Indian designers. I work with the Indian designers and developers because the previous company that I worked in, we had an office in Hyderabad, India, and yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any different. Like, obviously, like if there is some difference in terms of like little things, right? Like, if I work with the designer offshore or something like that, there are little subtle differences, right? The way you spell certain words in like the British way versus the American way is a little bit different. Maybe the way you do the time or how you do the address, like there might be subtle little differences, but overall, humans are human, right? But I'll tell you this: one of the things that I talked about that I believe in is, here's the thing. When I work this, and this is not being racist or anything like that, right? When I work with other Asian people from like Korea or something like that, or India or China or something like that, there's like a huge difference between people there and people in the US, or like people that I work with in the Western markets, okay? And one is not better or the other, but they're different. And here's how they're different. So I think in the Western markets, everybody was, especially in America, every kid was taught that they're special. You're a snowflake. You're unique. You're perfect. You're all of that shit, right? That I think we went here. We went little too far on that end of like being open and creative, and you can be whatever you want, blah blah blah, right? And so what happens is here, a lot of people don't. I feel like in the US, a lot of people don't know how to be team players, right? Everybody wants to be the CEO. It's all about me, 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 right? That is the cost of creating a culture of like creativity and trying whatever you want, taking that risk, at the risk of failure, blah blah blah. I think that's like the cost of it, right? Now you go to Asia, like if you go to a country like Korea, because Korea is the opposite, right? Like you're told, if you're like the nail that sticks out, you're gonna get hammered back in, right? That's what we're taught in Asia, right? And you're don't stick out. Like here in the U.S., everybody is like, oh, you're unique, you're a unique snowflake, and blah blah blah. You're perfect, like whatever that thing is, right? That independent uniqueness, all of that. Like you were like you should encourage that. In Korea, it's the opposite. Like if you're the nail that sticks out, you're gonna get hammered back in, right? Something like that. So I think in Korea and other Asian country, people are really great team players, right? So as a team, you can get shit done. Like you can get a group of people to do something, right? But the thing is, there's no creativity really comes out of there. So what ends up happening is, you know, back in the days when phones were just phones, like Steve Jobs and the Americans can use their creativity to come up with this thing that's an iPhone that's basically like a computer, and that throw an app store on it, and developers can just code using whatever they want, and they can just turn this into whatever they want, right? That and came the smartphone. They invented the concept of the smartphone. Once Apple invented the concept of the smartphone, like Samsung was able to take that and like duplicate it and copy it, make it better and cheaper and better and cheaper and smaller. Like they can make those incremental improvements faster than anyone else because they have this team of people that just follows orders, right? But it's hard for them to come up with this. So I think that both US and Asia have different pros and cons. I feel like there has to be a mix of both. You know what I mean? I don't know what the original question was. Let me go back to the original question. Yeah, so I'm very aware of that, right? I'm very aware of that when I hire people because, when you're hiring people, you have to understand, like, because there's gonna be two types of people that you have to hire, right? You wanna hire like long-term players that's gonna work autonomously and make their own decisions and come up with creative ideas and things like that. But you also need to hire people that just like need to get shit done, right? Meet deadlines and just get the work that needs to be done. Like do the accounting, right? Do the taxes, right? Pay the bills and all. Like there's like the basic work that needs to get done. So you need both kind of people, and I think it's like that's one of the things that I learned in business, right? Like a lot of business is understanding people, right? What kind of like, okay, like understanding people, their personality, what their strengths and weaknesses are. And then, because a lot of companies, they don't really pay attention to that, right? They just think that humans are human and just, they call it like, they literally treat it like human resource, right? But the thing is like, if you really understand somebody's personality, what their strengths and weaknesses are, you can really utilize them in a way that like they can like excel extremely because you put them in the right job or right position or something like that according to their personality or something like that. But yeah, that's one of the things that I noticed is that when I hire offshore designers and stuff like that, they pride themselves in like getting it done fast, right? Like I'll send them a design, and the next day they come back. It's like, oh, well, like they think that faster is better, right? But like for me, that's not necessarily what I'm looking for. I want you to take some time and take a week doing it, but try to make it good, right? So yeah, you really need to understand. But sometimes I might need something that tomorrow, and I just need this fast. So you really have to understand like what you need. I don't know what's going on. I keep getting disconnected. Okay, next question. Elgia Fry. I don't know how to pronounce that, but the future of digital marketing. That's a great question. You know what I think? This is what I think. With AI and all of that happening, I really, because like marketing has always been those two things, right? There's two sides to marketing. There's the creative, and then there's the data, the science, right? So the art and the science of marketing, right? And with all the tools like the A/B testing, the analytics tools, and collecting data and shit like that, like that part has been a big side of digital marketing. But I think it's going to come to a point where all of that, all the digital side of marketing is going to be managed by AI. That there's going to be no human, like running your ads, like A/B testing, doing all of that shit is going to be all done by AI. That if your differentiator, like if what makes you unique as a marketer is the fact that you can look at data and you can A/B test and you can see what, like, that's like any monkey can do that job, right? Like AI is going to be able to do that job. So the future of digital marketing, I believe, is all storytelling. And I'm not just saying that because I teach storytelling. It's because, think about it. Right now, whatever that any average intellectual people can do, AI is going to be able to do it better and faster and cheaper. What AI cannot do is create, right? It cannot create new stories, write new stories, and things like that. So I think the future of marketing, like you're gonna have, it's gonna come down to the creative. right? Like, I think for the last 10, 20 years, all the designers, all the copywriters, all the creative people, we've been like, we've been complaining, right? We're like, oh, like, because when we're trying to get clients, everybody just wants the data. Everybody wants the SEO guy. Everybody wants the Google Analytics guy. Everybody wants the pay-per-click. Everybody wants that immediate traffic data right away, right? So as creatives and art directors and creative directors, we're like, oh, we can't show our, the time is here, guys. The time is here where all of those other math guys now, all the analytics data guys, like their days are over because all of that is going to be done by AI, right? TikTok is like a perfect example of that, right? TikTok, YouTube Shorts, these are perfect examples of that, right? Because when the algorithm gets that good, and it literally just becomes about the creative. Now it's a game of creative. Whoever is more creative and create better content is gonna win. Not somebody who can run the data in the background and A/B test shit, and those people are not gonna win anymore, right? The ones that are like studying hashtags and how to hack the algorithm, those guys are not gonna win anymore. As algorithm gets better, AI gets better, more and more, creative people are going to win because the better you're creative, the more eyeballs it gets. So focus on the creative. Like the time for creative is now here, guys. So if you've been like for the last 2 decades, you're like the creative person in the ad agency or whatever it is that's been complaining because like computers and data and all this marketing and all this conversion shit and marketing has taken over. The time is here. The time for the creative is here. It's like now is time for you to shine because whoever can create better content are gonna get those millions of views. Okay, next question. Amari Cheese View. What advice would you give someone trying to dive into multimedia storytelling as regards writing scripts and concept? That's a very broad question. Multimedia. I don't know what multimedia storytelling means. Writing scripts. I guess if you're writing scripts, if you want, I mean, I guess the traditional method, right? Like read the book. It's called Story by Robert McKee. I guess maybe take some screenwriting courses or something like that because because Sharon, can you put your question in the sticker tab? Yeah, because I think that's where it starts. Like first, you need to learn how to tell stories through the basic, screenwriting and storytelling, like practice storytelling and things like that. And then you can, but here's what I think. Like I think in the days of modern social media and things like that, I feel like whatever the things that are organic always works better than things that are scripted. So I feel like a lot of people are trying to do social media and podcasts in a way like, polish it up like the old TV days, like the old day, like scripted and all of that. But I just feel like the way it has to be done is like raw, unedited, uncut, like just making all the mistakes and things like that. And that's what makes social media so, unique. So I don't think that we should throw that away. Okay, next. Today I'm gonna try to get to everyone's question actually. So if you have a question, today is the day to ask. Okay, this question is from SVA Copy. I'm very bad at networking, actually starting the conversation. Any advice for that? Okay, so there's different types of networking, but I'm gonna talk about like online. So for me, I'm like that too, right? Like I hate going to a networking party and trying to make small talk, small conversation. Hey, what do you do? Oh, what do you do? Oh, blah, 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 blah. Like I hate that shit, right? So the way I do any conversation is I just go deep right away. Every time I meet somebody, I just go I ask the question that I want to ask rather than trying to get through the small talk part, right? But I think for me, online I feel like it's a little bit different. So what I would do online is follow people that you're genuinely interested in, like on Instagram or something like that, right? Like that you genuinely want to have a conversation with, things like that, and then I would just reach out to them through DM and try to build one-on-one relationships, because this is the thing, right? A lot of people think that like networking and people hear that term, like this is what I hate about like when things become cliche and commercialized and like people start saying shit like oh, your network is your net worth, right? Like people say that, oh, your network is your net worth, and then they hear that and they're like, oh, these young people, they think that they need to go out and go to these networking parties and just like collect business cards and just have a big, like, that's not what that means, right? Like if you really look at successful entrepreneurs, the way their network is, it's not like they have a network of like hundreds of people that they network at, that made at networking parties. That's not how it is. They have a network of like 5, 10 people that they work with over and over and over again that they trust. And that's what they mean by your network is your net worth, right? So don't go out and try to meet 100 people. That's not what that means, right? What I want you to do is I want you to build 5 to 10 really meaningful relationships with people that you care about, that you work with, that you partner with, things like that. If you have 5 to 10 people that are like that in your life, a small network like that, trust me, from there, all your business, every opportunity will just come from there. You just need 5 to 10 right people that 100% trust you, though. It's not like, I just need to. My Rolodex have hundreds of people. Oh, if I need a designer, I can just go. No, that's bullshit. That's a bullshit network, right? Because I know people like that. I know people that are like that. Hey, hey, do you know a designer? He's like, oh yeah, I know this kid, blah blah blah, and they just introduce you, right? And then you hire them. You're like, and this guy sucks, right? Everyone that person introduces me to sucks. There's a reason why. It's because their network is very wide but very shallow. But there are certain people in my life, right? There are certain people in my life when I go to this person and say, hey, I need a developer. Do you know any good developers? Oh, I need a lawyer. Do you know a good lawyer? Oh, I need an accountant. Do you know a good accountant? Like I know that the person this person introduces me to is gonna be legit and it's gonna be good, right? And that is what network is all about. So what you want is you want 5 to 10 of those people that you trust and they trust you. So build deeper, more stronger relationship with fewer people. That's how I would advise you to network. Okay. Rob, can you talk about how a personal brand helps create blue ocean strategies since it can't be copied? Yeah. I mean, I think exactly, Rob, you said it, right? I don't think it needs any further explanation. It's all self-explanatory, because the blue oceans, for those of you who don't know, blue ocean strategy is all about like, instead of competing in something that's already a lot of people are doing, you just create your own industry, right? You just create so that people can compete with you. And that's the thing, like if you build a personal brand, and one of the things that I talk about this week is this. If you look at my agency, Night Owl, so I have two businesses, right? I have Night Owl, my agency, and Night Owl Nation, which is this community. If you look at the way that those two brands are built, you know, my personality and me have a lot to do with how those brands are built. Because, for example, if you look at Night Owl Nation, there's a reason why I only charge $5, right? There's a reason why we have a certain onboarding process. There's a reason why every process that we do, there's a reason why we do it that way. It's because, that's part of my personality. And Yeah, that's I guess the best way to explain is like this, right? Like you ever see a guy like that's like so ugly, or like you have no idea like how this like his wife or something like is, you have no idea how like anybody can love him, right? But to his wife, like this guy for some reason is like amazing, right? She's like in love with him. And that's because there's something about that person to her that makes him unique and things. So that's the thing about personal relationships, right? So when you're building a personal brand, you're telling your story and things like that. There are specific things about you that people are gonna resonate with and relate to that can't be copied. I mean, that's the thing about me, right? Like, try to copy me, you can't. Because it's like everything that I do in my business. Like, okay, I'll give you a perfect example. So when I first started, making websites, right? Like, I hated the fact that I had to depend on somebody else to code the website. So I started to learn how to code by myself. Okay. And then I started to learn write copy, and I started to learn making, like, I just learned everything myself. And when I first started my agency, what I realized is that the websites that I was making was far better than the designers that and the developers that I hire and that they make. Because what was happening is, because I design and code it, I come up with ideas, design ideas, and things like that that normal designers would not even have come up with. Do you understand what I mean? But the way that these guys were working was the design will come up with that, they'll hand it over to the developer just makes it work. Like, so it was so different. So I recognized that right away. And right away, I changed this so that the designer, developer, everybody has to start at the same place. And like, so we have to spend extra money, invest extra money for these developers and these people to sit in those meetings and work together, right? Rather than just doing it like one phase after another, which would be cheaper to do. Another thing is, I was personally training these people, like spending 3 to 6 months training them, right? And then, yeah, and then there were other things that we do. Every summer we did these camping trips where it really bonds the team. So there's all these little things that we do in the company because that was part of my personality. Like, I couldn't just deliver these kind of mediocre websites. Okay? So now our brand has become all about that. We're small, blah, blah, we do all of that, right? So now if somebody comes and say, "Oh yeah, we can compete with you. We can be like you," and they try to copy me, there's no way they can copy me. Because first of all, in order for you to copy me, you're going to have to spend 3 times the money to make sure all the designer and developer, everybody is in those projects together at the same time. You're going to have to spend extra time training every one of them, 3 to 6 months. So all the things that I did that makes no sense, you're going to have to also do it. But like, the reason why I do it is because it's part of my personality, right? So there's another example I can give is like Apple, right? Like, what makes Apple products so amazing is that the attention to details, right? For example, Apple has an engineer that studies physics and that studies and designs the fans in Apple computers in a certain way so that it makes the least amount of noise possible. And those little things, you cannot tell the difference until you start using Mac and then you move to another computer and you're like, "Oh, why is this thing so loud?" or something like that, right? So those tiny little differences is what makes Apple Apple. So you might say, "Oh, why can't somebody just fucking copy Apple? Why can't somebody just come up with a computer that looks like Apple?" Like, because in order to really copy Apple, that experience of every tiny little detail being perfect, you actually have to invest money and copy every one of those tiny little details. And it's not worth it for most companies. But it's worth it for Apple, and they've been doing it for decades. So if you were to try to copy Apple, you're already decades behind because of that. So this is why, if you double down on your personality, if you build your business around your personality, it's impossible for other people to copy you. I'm gonna have to move a little faster. Okay, Sajal asked things to keep in mind prior to starting your personal brand journey if you are just starting. Okay, great question. I'm gonna say two things. One, do not drop all of your ego and just 100% be yourself. Because what's going to happen is if you're not 100% be yourself, like if you're coming on social media and you're trying to like impress somebody, right? Trying to say something, name drop, or like show off, or anything that you're doing to impress them and not be yourself or try to chase validation, whatever that is. If you do that, at some point somebody will find out and you will get exposed. So do not lie. Do not always be truthful. Always tell the truth, right? Like authenticity, I would say, is like the number one thing, right? And then secondly, obviously, in order to do that, you have to really drop your ego and all of that, right? And secondly, I think part of that is you need to practice storytelling. Because for you to really connect with others and relate it to others, you have to be able to tell your stories. And most people, I think the problem is, most people don't reflect on their life. Like, for example, like on their day, right? Oh, like go back and say, oh, I shouldn't have said this. Oh, this is what happened today, blah, blah, blah. Like, or writing a journal, keeping a journal, or like just reflecting on the day or something. People don't do that, right? But if you do that, if you journal, if you reflect or you storytell or something like that, it actually helps you think, and it helps you find out like what you're doing. It helps you think about all the mistakes you're making and all of that. And once you know yourself really well, it's easier for you to be confident, authentic, and things like that, right? It's kind of hard for you to be authentic and confident and convicted and all of that if you don't even know yourself. Like if you don't know what you stand for, if you don't know what's important to you, what's not important to you, what your values are, things, if you don't know those things, you can't really say those things with confidence and authenticity. So yeah, that's what I would say. Okay, we'll go a little faster. Okay, I have a question from YouTube from Little Eye Diary. Any tips to learn new skills, especially when we encounter problems that we cannot understand or keep us stuck? That the thing is, for me, that's where mentorships were really, really helpful. Because usually when I learn something, right? Let's say I learn design and this is the beginning and this is the journey. Usually I can learn most of it by myself. Like I can learn, just through YouTube and things like that. But there's like a moment where I get stuck. And I'll get stuck there for a while. And then after I get unstuck, I'll learn it and then I'll get stuck. And I think those are the moments where mentorship is really helpful because because a lot of times what happens is in those moments when I'm stuck, a mentor will come in, oh, that's because you're doing this wrong. And then I'm like, oh, of course, right? So yeah, whenever I get stuck, one of the things that I think that I regret or I could do better in learning is to seek out help. Because 90% of them you can learn yourself, but those moments when you get stuck, you actually need to seek out help. And somebody who's been there like 5 years ago or something, like someone who's already been there will be able to look at your situation and be like, and point out exactly what you're doing wrong. Like that's kind of like how it is when you go to yoga class, right? When you go to yoga class and you're struggling, you're like struggling with this pose, and then sometimes a yoga teacher will come and just like correct your position, like just with like a little touch, and it's like it becomes like you don't know what happened, like, but that's what experience does, Okay, next question, Sharon. What is your opinion on Twitter as platform for visual artists? Okay, so I guess this is what I think. First of all, I actually think that Instagram is going back to the old ways of the old Instagram, because what I'm noticing right now is Instagram Reels, the videos are not gaining as much traction as like carousels and single posts. Like how? So I think Instagram is like realizing that they made a mistake, maybe like trying to copy TikTok, and now they're kind of going back to. So I think Instagram is such a great, I think still a great platform for visual artists, right? But if my money's on Twitter in terms of where I want to invest my time and my energy as a creator to create content for, I'm gonna say Twitter and YouTube. Because number one, the reason why YouTube is because YouTube is the only true creator platform. Like all these other platforms are still kind of a social media platform, right? Meaning that whatever you post on there, like after 2 weeks, nobody's really gonna see it, right? But YouTube is a true content platform. It's a search engine. So if you post a video today on YouTube, like it can still get millions of views 10 years later. So it's a much better platform to invest in. And YouTube has a creator program, so they pay you. And I think so YouTube number one, I think, is the place really for creators, right? And the reason why I say Twitter is because I think Elon is gonna make Twitter the next YouTube. I really do believe, like everybody's underestimating Elon Musk right now, and that's just the thing, right? That's what you guys don't understand. That's what most people don't understand about business and entrepreneurs is that you don't bet against people like Elon Musk. You don't bet against people like Mark Zuckerberg. No matter how much you disagree with them, no matter how much you think if you think they're evil or blah blah blah, you don't bet against people like that. I guarantee you, every time Facebook does something stupid, people are like, "Oh, Facebook is done. Oh, Meta is done." Blah, blah, blah. Trust me, like Facebook is coming back right now. Like Facebook stock's been going up like crazy, right? Trust me. You think like Mark Zuckerberg has gone through this over and over and over and again. Like, trust me, he ain't going nowhere. He's gonna turn this thing around. And it's the same thing for Elon Musk. Like, Elon Musk is gonna turn this thing around, right? So Twitter, Elon Musk is not just gonna make Twitter the old Twitter. Like, he's gonna take that shit and he's gonna go all the way. Like, whatever he did to Tesla, whatever he did to SpaceX, that's what he's gonna do to Twitter. And these guys have proven it over and over and over again, right? So yeah, I would definitely invest into Twitter because I think whether it's video, and they've already announced that they're gonna do a creator program where they do profit sharing, like whether it's video or whatever it is. I 5 years from now, you're gonna regret not being on Twitter because I really believe that that's what's gonna happen. Like all those people like that didn't want to get on Instagram in the early days, didn't want to get TikTok on the early days, and like I think Twitter is gonna be the next thing. So. Yes, definitely. My money is on Twitter. Okay. Next question is from Fazal. It takes time to build a skill, but one shouldn't also wait too long. What's the right approach? You know what I think? I don't think skill is not like I don't think skill is not like people. Maybe in the old days, skill was like farming, or like, cobblers or doctor, like those, or basketball or something like that. If you have questions, guys, can you put it in the sticker tab because I can't really catch up with the chat. But I think in today's day, skill is not like that anymore, right? Like it's. Because with all the technology that's happening, and ChatGPT is like the perfect example of that, right? For example, when calculators were introduced, they had to change, the school curriculums completely so you can use calculators. So it wasn't about actually doing the numbers itself, but it was about what to put into the calculator or something like that, right? And now with the AI, we're gonna have to change again. So I think the skills are. In the old days, skills were very basic, right? It was like farming, make cooking, or specific things. But that, I feel like because of technology helping us, we're getting more and more to a point where, for example, back then, for you to get your food, there has to be a hunter, and there has to be somebody who butcher, who cuts that up or whatever, and then deliver it. Like there has to be a driver who delivers it, and all of that shit, right? But now, like I feel like one person has the power to kind of do everything themselves using just multiple various tools and stuff like that, and it's just gonna get more and more like that. Okay, so the reason why I'm saying that is because I don't think a skill is a specific thing anymore. I think a skill is just more high level understanding. A skill is more like understanding that I know that this person can do this person can do this, boom, 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 put it together, strategy, and then fix a problem. That's more of a skill, high level skill, than actually like design or something like that. Like, and as you move up in the world, like of whatever you do, you're gonna clearly see that. Like in the beginning, you think that best designer is the one that who knows Photoshop the best, right? But as you move up, you're gonna realize that actually no, when you get to this point, you're gonna realize, oh, actually no, the best designer is the one who has the eye. The best designer is the one who understands typography, color theory, blah, blah, blah. And then once you get to this person, you're gonna be like, oh no, the best designer is the one who understands storytelling. Oh no, the best designer is the one who understands how to work with like. The idea of best designer is going to change as you move up. Do you understand what I mean? And so skill is not like design. Photoshop is not a skill, right? Yeah, keep learning Photoshop. Keep learning video editing software. Keep learning copywriting. Keep learning coding. Keep learning sales. Every one of those little things that you keep learning it. Because all of this combined, all of those are adding to your skills, the overall high level skill of entrepreneurship. Like entrepreneurship in itself is a skill that's made up of a lot of mini skills. So keep learning everything. For me, the fact that I went to film school and study lighting and all of that helped me huge later on when I started learning how to retouch photos. So that's an example. So yeah, learn everything. Do not learn because, oh, if I learn this, I can make this much money. Do not learn for that reason. You should learn. Fuck, I keep getting disconnected. Okay. Your only purpose for learning, your agenda should be, I want to learn so that I can have that information in my head. Like, think about it. I want you to be selfish about knowledge. Like every day you live, just keep adding knowledge into your brain because every knowledge just goes in. Like once an information goes in your brain, it can never be taken away from you. It's not like if you have money in your hand, somebody can just steal that. But once the knowledge goes in here, nobody can steal that. So every single day, your purpose should not be, oh, how can I use knowledge to make money? No. How can I just keep adding more knowledge in there? Because knowledge it's exponential, right? The more knowledge you add, the more other creative shit is going to come out from there. So just collect knowledge for the sake of collecting knowledge. I guess this is what I'm trying to say. Okay, next question. Unique C. Did you find any way to crack the YouTube algorithm so that you can get more views? No, I'm not really good in algorithms and shit like that. Here's what I've made a decision on, right? Here's the thing. What I realize is when I look at everybody's content, the best content wins at the end of the day. Like if you look at the ones who won, right? I'm not talking about a little temporary, this one video got 10 million views. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people that actually has long-term sustainable success, right? If you look at those people, there's none of those people who are putting out shitty content and won just because of algorithm. All of those people won because they actually put out good content. So a decision that I made a long time ago is I'm not going to give a fuck about algorithm. I'm not going to give a fuck about sales hacks. oh, I'm not gonna give a fuck about 7-part sales framework. I'm not gonna give a fuck about best practices. I'm not gonna give a fuck about these experts trying to sell their shit. Like, I'm just gonna block all those out, kill all those noise, and just ignore it, because all those noise is taking up my energy, it's taking up my time, it's taking up all those energy and time I could be investing into the actually trying to make a good content. So that's why I stopped paying attention to those long time ago, and I take all of that energy and time and I actually try to make good content. And I realize that that's how you win in the long run. Okay? Whew. Next question. Shikana Jordan. How can I master storytelling? Storytelling is storytelling. It's like how would I say that? It's like that's like saying how can I master cooking, right? Like it's very hard to say. The only thing I can say is if you really 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 want to be a great storyteller, it's like anything else. The only way you can become a great storyteller is through practicing storytelling. Okay? I know, no F-bombs, right? I don't know why. So what I want you to do is continue to practice storytelling. And if your question is, how do I practice storytelling? I have the answer for you for that too. Go to practicestorytelling.com. Maybe somebody can put that in the chat. Go to practicestorytelling.com. And there's a free 5-day challenge that you can do. And in these 5 days, you're going to learn exactly how you can practice storytelling. But yeah, the only way you can get better in storytelling is by continuing to practice storytelling, just like anything else. How you get better as a musician, composer, practice. How do you get better in as a gymnast? Practice. How do you become a better comedian? Practice. I actually think comedians are great storytellers. So if you really wanna get started on learning storytelling, go to your local improv theater. Go to your local comedy comedy clubs and things like that. If there's like a improv school or a comedy school or something like that, take a stand-up comedy class. I think that's How do you storytell for a t-shirt brand? I mean, what I deal with is not really product business, but I mean, with those t-shirt brands, what I notice is that it's all about like getting that t-shirt on the right person, right? So I guess it is kind of like personal brand. If you build your personal brand and you just keep wearing that shit, maybe that's how you do it. But yeah, I mean the merch, the product, the streetwear, all of that's not my area of expertise, so I won't speak too much on it. Okay, Marcelo asks, would you recommend any biography related to courage or take things into action? You know what? I want you guys to all get the audiobook for Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. The audiobook. Get the audiobook because the audiobook is so much better than the regular book. Okay, I'm gonna try to go really fast. Okay, Raj Designer. I just want to send you lots of appreciation from Morocco. Thanks for the insights. Sharing with us. Thank you, Raj Designer. Okay, next. Ryan Smallman. What was your latest epiphany? My latest epiphany is this, guys. In business, you never want to try to fix future problems that doesn't exist yet. Like, I think a lot of us make this mistake of, in my business, we're gonna do it like this. We're gonna do it like different like this. And we try to fix problem that doesn't exist yet. Like, we try to fix future problems, right? Those are waste of time. The way you really build a business is by just trying shit and then fixing existing problems, not fixing future problems. Okay. By Zayn Ronman. How do you scale a product from 5K to 50K a month? You know, like 50K, like anything below $1 million a year is just, it's, okay. Okay, 5 to 50K, I think at that moment, I think you actually need a good product. If you're not able to scale from 5K, if you're able to sell product at a small scale but not at a larger scale, I think that means the product needs to be fixed. Or because like if the product is good and you can get it to sell at a small scale, then it should catch on and it should grow. But if that's not organically happening, that means I think you need to improve the product. It's like there are certain things that you can't fix with just marketing, right? Sure. Can you tell how you set up your background? Is that a brick wall? No, it's just I just painted the wall black, put up some wall shelves, and then put a bunch of shit in there. Okay, last question. Right now, how to practice copywriting and check whether the crafted copy piece is good or not. I mean, the only way to do it is test it. For me, that's why social media is so good. Like what I would do is either on Twitter or Instagram or blog or whatever it is, I would test all of your copy there. Just put it out there. And you know, maybe you can even run Facebook ads or something like that. But write it, put it out there, see how it converts, and then rewrite it and see how that converts. And like, if you're a true copywriter, that's the only way you can tell. One of the worst ways to get feedback on your copy or story is to show it to somebody and then ask for feedback. You'll never, ever, ever get accurate feedback that way. Because people are, they don't want to hurt your feeling. They make the feedback about themselves. It's not. Okay, David, what about ChatGPT as an idea generator to keep active our creative mood, like a smart assistant? Yeah, I think that's exactly what, like, I consider ChatGPT or the current version of AI as an a human of average intelligence. So whatever a human of average intelligence can do, ChatGPT can do. So if you need an assistant of average intelligence, perfect. Something like that, right? If you need somebody to do research for you, perfect. Something like that. Okay, this is going to be the last one, guys. Sorry. Arcane, I'm a video editor from India. How can I get clients from abroad? Getting clients for any kind of creative task is always the same, right? If you're really, really good at what you do, you're not going to have problem. So what I want you to do is I want you to just reach out to everyone, like reach out to people like me, right? And say, hey, I'll edit your video for free for X number of months or something like that. And then build your portfolio there. And then say, hey, can you hire me? Or take that and go to somebody else and I'll edit your video. Like, you got to build your portfolio that way. But here's the thing, guys. If you're a freelancer, right? And you're not getting business, then means it's just one thing. Because it should be super, super, super fucking easy for you to get clients as a freelancer. If you just do this. If you just do good job for your existing clients, whether it's for free or whatever, pay, and then you make them happy. As long as you keep doing that, you should have zero problem getting clients. As a freelancer, if you have problem getting clients, that means you're not doing a good job with your current clients. That's all I gotta say. Thank you all. I gotta run. Thank you for your questions. I will answer more questions next week. If you come back next week, I'll see you guys then. Tomorrow, there's a new episode of Authentic as Fuck podcast. So if you're not a Night Owl Nation member, join Night Owl Nation member if you want to be a guest on that show. And That's it. Thank you all. Bye, everyone.